I want to tell you about Robin. Before she found the Empowered Business Society, she was buying every course, every workshop, every tool that promised to move the needle, and none of it did. She said the experts she was following were giving her completely contradictory advice, and she had no idea who to listen to. Then she had one real conversation with me inside the membership, and she said it changed her whole trajectory. That's what EBS is built for. It's not another place to pile on information. It's the place where creator business owners actually implement, get real feedback, and stay current on what's working right now in the AI era. We do monthly Get It Done weeks, live coffee chats, member show and tells, and exclusive training that drops straight into the community. Members like Robin, Julie, Anna Joy, and Lane aren't just learning, they're building and growing businesses that are ready for what's coming next. If you're ready to stop figuring it out alone, EBS is $49 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Come check it out at society.empoweredbusiness.co, and let's build something meaningful together. The link will be in the show notes. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Empowered Business Podcast. I want to tell you something that is a little embarrassing. When I first started using ChatGPT, I did the exact thing every AI person tells you not to do. I opened a blank chat, dumped my whole brand into it, and expected magic. What I got back was a robot doing a bad impression of me. My guest today has a name for that feeling. She calls it AI Aftertaste. And once she said it out loud, I could not unhear it. Bernadette Shepherd got her start at Google, went on to build and sell startups, and then left corporate to stay home with her toddlers. When she came back to business, the first thing she tried to hand off to AI was content. And it just would not sound like her. So she spent thousands of hours figuring out why and built something called Brainer, 10 documents and a system message that teach AI to write, think, and sound like you, no matter which tool you are using. In this session from AI That Sells, she walks through the whole framework, her platform playbooks, her AI blacklist, the phrase bank that finally killed her own AI aftertaste for good, and how she uses all of it to run actual AI employees inside her business. If you have ever read something AI wrote for you and thought, this is not for me, this episode is going to change how you think about training it. Here is Bernadette Shepherd. Good. We're good. Okay. Bernadette, welcome to AI That Sells. I'm super excited to be talking to you today. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do, what your business is. Oh, we can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can. Bernadette, welcome to AI That Sells. We are super excited to have you. And I'd like to kick off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Monica. It is a pleasure to be here. So my first job is that I am a mom of 2 beautiful toddlers, but I also run an AI consulting business specifically for content coaches. And I got my first job out of college was actually at Google. And so that's where I got my start in tech. And then since then, I went on to work for other smaller startups, both of which got acquired. And so I kind of grew up in tech and then decided that I really want more flexibility and freedom. I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I left corporate. I did the stay-at-home mom thing for a while. And so then I got this itch to start a business again. And so here we are. One of the first reasons I started with AI content specifically is because content was the first task I tried with AI that I knew could make my life easier if it worked the way I wanted it to, but it just did not. And so I remember being up at 11:30, nervous that my 3-month-old was going to wake up in an hour and I needed to get these LinkedIn posts done and it wasn't working. And so I just quit prompting and I went into research mode and figuring out what makes AI create good content. And that led me on this journey.
Did you start that in ChatGPT?
I did. I started that when everyone first started using ChatGPT. It took the OpenAI API, went into N8N, and started building custom content workflows.
Well, you can tell that you worked for Google.
It is not as technical or as difficult as it sounds. Actually, at Google, I did user education. So I love making things that feel and sound complex, simple. So hopefully we'll do some of that on this call.
For sure. Now, I know that before we kick in the actual meat of this, I know people are going to ask this, and I'm curious as well. Everything you're going to tell us, is it LLM agnostic? Can this work in any of the LLMs?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, because I think we saw with the whole quit GPT movement and the mad dash to Claude, that your brand infrastructure needs to be portable. And that's the beauty of a brand brain, is that you can create it once, you maintain it, and then if the next AI tool comes out next month, which it probably will, and you love that tool, you can port it over.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the 8 layers that build this, but so everyone has a visual. What is the actual output that we're going to arrive at the end of this?
So the output is, I like to frame it as a employee and a handbook for your AI employee. And so when someone starts working for you, when Natalie started working for you, you didn't just hand her a flash drive and say, figure it out. You gave her actual training and onboarding. And if we want AI to help us in our business, we have to treat it the same way. So at the end of this, you get 10 different MD files and a system message. And I'll talk about this later, but the system message is one of the things that we underestimate, because it's not just enough to give AI context. You have to tell it what to use and when to use it. Otherwise, it guesses, and it guesses badly.
Okay.
So you will get 10 MD files, a system message that you can add to Claude or ChatGPT, and start using your brand brain from there.
And I was telling people yesterday, Gemini about 2 weeks ago came out with the feature to allow us to upload memories proactively from other platforms. So really, those were the 3 big ones. It's portable between all 3.
Yep.
Okay. And I definitely am going to have questions about that final output. But before we talk about the 8 layers, can we talk about this AI aftertaste? What is that?
So the AI aftertaste, if you've ever seen someone do an impression of someone else, I was watching Jimmy Fallon, and Ariana Grande did impressions of singers. And she did this impression of Celine Dion that made me feel like I was watching the queen herself. Like, it was so good. And then you see other people do impressions, you would probably be very saddened, because I am tone deaf and would murder it. And so the AI aftertaste is that you can tell AI is trying to impersonate you, but it's just not landing. And the reason that it's not landing is because you have spent decades getting to the place where you have this domain expertise, where you have this brand, this style, and giving AI a brain dump and some prompts is not going to help it capture that. Too unique for AI to get the essence of who you are without giving it very structured guidelines about how to capture those human inflections. And so when it doesn't have that, you have this AI aftertaste, because AI is trained on general knowledge. It's more trained on general knowledge than it is on your brand. And so by default, it will go and it will use general phrases, general patterns that don't fit into your brand. That's what the brand brain solves, because we help AI stop guessing what we sound like, and we give it very clear guardrails for how to speak and communicate like we do.
Well, when I started using ChatGPT, I definitely did the brain dump approach. And that's one of the things when you submitted what we were going to talk about today, and you said the brain dump, that's not going to get AI to sound like you. It's like, oh, okay, well, I want to know how to get it to, I might adopt whatever you're about to tell me here, because 8 layers almost sound like a lot, but it also then makes me think, okay, so we actually have to give AI a lot more than we thought we did.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Otherwise,
Done, right? Like, and does your system, is it dynamic? Like you can get it to update fairly easily, or is this really static once we do this?
So the thing about the brand brain that's super cool is the brand brain is step 1 in the process. I created the brand brain because I wanted to create AI employees that I didn't have to keep repeating myself to. Okay. And so you create the brand brain in Brainer ID, which is the tool everyone got access to. And when you're done, you download those files. You can add it to the AI tool of your choice. But for example, if you're using it with Claude, like I do, you can have a folder with your brand brain on your desktop. And then Claude can automatically add to and update your brand brain. So now it's constantly being updated in real time as you launch new offers, as you find out a certain post format works for you when you want to tell your AI agent to write more posts like this. So in the beginning, it is just the initial document. When you start using it with AI, especially with Claude, it will update as time goes on, making it a part of your business. It's a system that grows with your business.
Which is awesome. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of Claude. It's super dynamic.
100.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we jump in? Oh, the overall framework is called
The overall framework is called the brand brain.
The brand brain.
And the brand brain, yes. And so we actually updated it. So it's 10 layers are really critical to the brand brain, but the other two I still think are very beneficial. It will work without it, but I still think they're very beneficial. And so at the end of this, your brand brain are those 10 documents that tell AI the guardrails for how AI should communicate like you. And when I speak about it, I always lead with content because that's one of the ways that people try to use AI the most to help write social media posts and sell content. And it's one of the biggest pain points because of that AI aftertaste. But really, the idea is that when you train it, because when you are, whether you are doing strategy, whether you are coming up with a new product, whether you are prepping for a launch, you communicate all of it with words. And so when you start with brand voice, you allow you and AI to start on the same page regarding how you talk about your business. And so that's one of the cool things because I use my brand brain for everything. I use it to do videos, to do scripts, to do client work, and it all uses the, yeah.
Everything's built right into it. All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, let's dive in. Do you want to, what's the easiest way for you to explain it? Do you want to give us all 10 layers and then go deep, or do you want to surprise everyone one layer at a time?
I can show all 10 layers. Let me share my screen here.
I can do that real quick for you.
Yes.
Okay.
I see it.
And then I am going to take myself off a pin. So we're just looking at you.
You will come in and the first section you'll see is your brand voice. And again, one of the reasons that I love this is because when I worked for Google, we had a way we talked about our business internally with each other. And we had certain terminology that we only used within the team. And then when we talked business externally, we had a different set of language that we would use. And so I like to start with brand voice for that reason, again, because it gets you and AI on the same page regarding how you talk about your business in different contexts. And so you have your general brand voice here. And then the cool part, and this will help a lot of people, is the platform playbooks. So generally, if you've used other AI tools that promise to help you write content, it will say, give me 3 to 4 samples of your work. And then it'll give you this generic, your tone is casual and friendly. You sound like a best friend having coffee and telling somebody about your business, which sounds nice, but AI can't actually use that because the way AI works is that it needs to see actual samples of your writing. And so with platform playbooks, we can select the platform and then you can give at least 10 samples of content you've written for that platform. And this becomes an MD file. So whatever social media platforms you're on, you can do this for sales pages, but you end up having a specific playbook that your AI content manager can use when it goes to write social media content. It uses a different playbook when it's writing your emails. And so this ensures that your results are very spot on. And so that is the platform playbook. And if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. I can't see the chat.
To feed you any questions.
Well,
so these playbooks, if I'm understanding, it's trained to understand what that platform, how it converts.
Yes, how you sound on a specific platform. Okay. So the way we do that, and because what happens is sometimes AI has samples of how you write in emails, on threads, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And when you ask it to write a post for LinkedIn, it's using that entire pool of samples. What the platform playbook does is it gives it samples that it has to look at every time it writes content for that platform. And that's how we ensure that your voice is maintained and your style is maintained on that platform.
So we did get a question regarding that. Suppose you don't have any content on the platforms yet.
So in the event that you don't have any content on the platform, I think that this is a good opportunity and it's going to take you a while to generate your own voice. Without content, I would start with a general playbook. So if you're starting a new platform, let's say you're starting LinkedIn, but you've been on Threads, you've been on Instagram, I would start with your general playbook and let AI, your general voice playbook, and let AI use that. And as you find posts that you know work on the new platform, then that would become your training material for your platform playbook. And the reason that's important is that you really only want to train AI on good content that sounds like you, content that you know converts. And so if you don't have any references, AI will still default to guessing. And so in that case, you would need to kind of define your brand on that platform and then come back and do the platform playbook.
Gotcha. And someone said they're already using Brainer and love it.
Hey, I love hearing that. Okay, so then we have, you'll love this, Monica. This is the AI blacklist. And this is a tool that you can use. We have our classic AI tell us here. And so you can select all, or you can select certain phrases that you know annoy you. Chef's kiss, ChatGPT, hate it. And so these are, for each of these, they're sentence level. And here we have those formats that you talked about. You're not X, you're Y. Not this, but this. And so you go through and you would include all of the things that you never, ever, ever want AI to do or say when it's writing content for you. And then you can also add your own custom restrictions. So if it's not on the list, you can add your own custom restrictions. And then when you're done, you'll generate it and it'll add this AI blacklist to your brand brain. And what most people don't know is that they call it Anthropic and LLMs call it negative prompting. It's just as important to tell AI what you want it to do as it is to tell it what you don't want it to do. And that's why the AI blacklist helps so much.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this alone would save someone so much time with editing.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so go ahead.
We got a question. Can we update our brand brain every so often? But you're going to cover that right on the output.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So I can show you that now, actually. You can come here and you can edit your brand brain directly from here. This is where your entire brand brain lives. And so you can always edit it on the website if you want to, or I'll talk about a bit later about how to get Claude to do it for you.
Awesome.
So this is the voice. So this is where the voice is the first section of Brainer ID. And that is really where we get AI to start writing like you. So content takes you less time and less edit. And then we have your actual brand. So this is the part where AI gets to learn about your business. And so the generators on each page will ask you questions about your business to get the kind of nuanced detail that you might not give it automatically. And so it'll go through like, this captures what I celebrate and what I give permission for. And these questions are really designed to help AI understand where those inflections exist in your content, the patterns in your speech. And so you have your brand DNA generator, you have your offers, and it goes through and it gets your pricing. Again, we have some negative prompting, which tells AI, do not position it like this. It has the actual sales angles and messaging. If you have proof and results, it'll include that there. And so this becomes a comprehensive guide. So when you say, I want you to write a blog post for me or a series of LinkedIn posts for me about the AI That Sells Summit, because it has your offers document, it has testimonials from the previous event and knows the price point, it can spit off a series of posts that will capture your offer accurately without you having to do a lot of manual work.
Wow. Someone in the chat said that you should be charging much more than $37 for this.
Thank you. Okay, so I am going to move on to the ideal client avatar. So the ideal client avatar is one of my favorites because one of the things that happens, and if you've been in business longer and you've taken the copywriting courses and you've taken courses on how to write the landing pages, you know that when you're writing to everyone, you're writing to no one. And sometimes when we're giving context to AI, again, we miss those nuances and we miss those details. And so this will go in and it'll ask you questions. So it'll load all of your brand context from before, everything you filled in. It'll review it and then it'll ask you questions. It'll get your client quotes. It'll get any existing, I see an avatar document, any client research or survey responses, anything AI would need to know about your ICP or your ideal client. And you can start filling this in so that, again, when it's writing to that person, it writes content that connects with that person. Because again, it's not guessing. We've given it a lot of this information. And if you don't have any of these, that's fine. I programmed it so that it will ask you questions to help you think through and flesh out who you'd want your ideal client to be. So you don't have to have it all figured out.
I love that.
And
I had cowork go out and go through all of the files on my computer and in my Google Drive, and it pulled, I think we forget how many testimonials and stuff and feedback things we have.
Mm-hmm.
I have thousands of screenshots. And in it, they've found so many screenshots I'd taken of Zoom chat, of Facebook threads where someone tagged me. And I ended up, because my testimonials were just so messy that I almost got to the point where I'm like, do I even have really any good testimonials? Well, I
Mhm.
go out and do it. And that would be a great thing for me to dump into here now.
Absolutely. It would make such a difference. And the more detailed it is, obviously, the better the content will be that comes from it. And so
Ooh, we have
one of the things I did want to point out is that if you have, because I know everyone has been using ChatGPT or Claude. And so I added this feature yesterday where you can copy this prompt and it will go through, you can paste it into ChatGPT or Claude, and it will help you fill this out using information you've shared already. So the output that Claude or ChatGPT will give you back is going to be very specific to what we need for this section of the Brainer app, but that way you're not having to do anything from scratch. So you can start here, and then the generator will process it and it will ask you questions to fill in any gaps.
That is awesome. Someone asked, and this is relevant to me and probably a lot of other people, can
Mhm.
you add more than one if you have different businesses? Like I have the B2C arm and the B2B arm.
So that is on the roadmap to add. I haven't added it yet, but obviously, if you have Brainer now, when I do add it, you'll get it for free. But that is definitely on the roadmap for us to do this quarter.
Awesome. And then does it work on credits or has an unlimited capacity?
So right now, you guys are lucky because it's lifetime. There is, yeah, it's lifetime. So it's $37 and it's a lifetime deal because again, if you sign up, you'll see that this app is still in beta. I wanted to get a lot more feedback. So do not be shy. You can always click this little buoy here. You can report a bug someone did. Alicia, if you're watching, hi, thank you for the feedback. You can check out our roadmap, our known issues, and you can send me an email. And then after that, I'll probably change the pricing model, but you guys got in on time.
That's amazing.
Lifetime.
I'm so excited about this. There you go. 37 lifetime, including updates and the wow face. Yep, that's what she just said.
Okay, so let me run through the rest of this. So this, I think, is where it gets really, really cool. So the brand perspective generator, getting back to that AI aftertaste, the fact that AI is guessing. One of the things, especially when you're talking about your offers and you want AI to write content for you about your offers, what AI needs to know are how you think about it. And so we go through what we call a foundational positioning framework, right? And so this is for one of my offers, the AI Employee VIP Day, and it'll give you the problem. And so what founders say, I tried AI and it doesn't sound like me. And I go through the real reason they're having that problem, why they think they're having that problem, the real reason I think they're having that problem. And then I go through who exactly is facing this problem. So what does their reality look like? They spend 15 to 20 hours a week on content and admin, juggling launches. If you see the level of specificity here, you can tell that when AI writes content, it won't have to default to some generic, you're a busy mom and you have a lot on your plate. Like it can go into the details that make someone feel seen in your content. Then it captures your promise. So what is the transformation that your offer gives? And then it talks about your process. And so going through this is one of the ones that will take a little bit more time, but being able to articulate this now will save you so much time later because AI will, again, have a level of detail that makes your content better than 90% of AI content out there.
So what happens? I just want to wrap my mind around one thing. Like I have
Mhm.
two different signature programs and I have a lot of different products. How do I multiple transformations that I
Right.
can provide through those products?
Right. And so what I do is so this is for, so one of the things the generator will do is it will go through all of your offers and then you can do this process. You don't have to do it all at once, but for as many offers as you want. And then typically out of the transformations that you've seen, and this is good intel for me, out of the transformations that you've seen, is there one that resonates more when you lead with it than the others for a specific product?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
there are a lot of things that could move the needle, but what is most likely to move the needle for
So
your ideal client?
it's kind of okay. So essentially, that's actually really smart because it actually streamlines then how you talk about stuff when you can really hone in on ultimately what is the single transformation through all the things I sell am I trying to get people to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had a couple other questions. Does it also generate images, videos, or is this a text-based model? I think it's text-based.
This is a text-based model. So you're not going to generate your content here. You are going to use this to create your brand brain, and then you're going to use it with Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. And those models can use your brand brain to help you generate images that go along with your content. For example, Claude, I don't know if you guys have tried Remotion with Claude, but you can use a skill called Remotion and it will create videos for you. And so when I use Remotion, it'll look at my brand brain and then create a video. So
I did not know that was a thing.
yes, that is definitely a thing.
Oh,
It's still
green.
relatively new. You can find a lot of cool tutorials on it on YouTube, but the options, this is the worst AI will ever be. So by tomorrow, there will be so many more things that you can do with AI. And this just ensures that you always have a really solid starting point, no matter what tool you're using.
Because in the brand DNA, you do capture branding details, like the colors and fonts and stuff, all that's captured.
So in the brand DNA, I don't think I capture color and fonts. Those were more brand personality questions, but that's actually an idea that I got today was to add a section that captures your fonts, your typographics, your logos. And so that's on my roadmap to add as well.
Because now with how Claude is in a lot of my skills, for example, I upload almost all my graphics now to my WordPress site so I can get the public accessible image link.
URL.
And I have it baked into my skills. So when I'm writing my emails for this event, for example, I'm writing them all in HTML. And I have skill just for this event that knows to pull the right pictures and put it in the right place in my email. So having it in this, if we were going to go here as this being our brain, that would be super, because I have community pictures I want to use when I talk about the membership and different headshots for different things and logos. I have a million logos for programs and different brands. We got a couple other questions too.
I love that.
What is the upgrade now for 40% mean as shown on the screen? I'm in the process of setting up. I want to watch the video before diving in. Yeah.
Oh, this is just my admin account. And so there's a way for people to try. I have a free tool called the Brand Voice Generator, and it lets you add your results to Brainer. And so you can ignore this message. You won't see this message because you get the full app when you
perfect.
Get Brainer through. Yeah.
Colors and photos would also be great. I keep uploading them to Claude. Yeah. And a trick there is also anytime I do it, I'm constantly like, can you please update the right skill for this so that it references? And sometimes it still asks me to upload. So anything we can do to try to resolve that issue for sure. Because I'm kind of annoyed that I always have to copy over my URLs too.
I love that. I love that. That's perfect confirmation. I literally had that thought this morning while I was thinking about the event. I'm like, I should add that. And so this was the confirmation, the feedback I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so the content hills this is another layer of giving your brand brain that nuance. And so content hills, these are the beliefs you'll die on, right? And so what I found, especially, and you might have found this too, Monica, there's certain takes you have on your business, on your industry, that when you say it, you immediately get a lot of engagement. Maybe it's a little bit controversial. Maybe it's the thing that no one wants to say. Those bits that are uniquely you, this is what the content hills generator captures. So for me, one of my pet peeves is when I see people online and they're like, don't use AI for content. AI can't write. It can only brainstorm. And so my brand brain says that I hate that because you're taking advice from people who have never spent the time really understanding how these LLMs work. It's like if you go to your doctor, of course he's brilliant, but would you go to him for marriage advice? No, because he's not qualified to give it. And so that's a very spicy take. But that's one of the things that gives AI, again, a really clear sense of how I feel about my industry and the conversations that are happening in my industry. And so it can use that when it's coming up with new content ideas for me.
I love that. I get spicy when people on, especially my free webinars, they'll say, yeah, but you have an email list and I don't. And I'm like, yeah. And I spent 10 years growing it and you didn't. Like, you don't get to be where I'm at when I've been doing this for 10 years, when you just started 6 weeks ago. Like, don't come at me with that. And people are always like, whoa.
I love it. I love the energy. And that's exactly what your content hills are. Those are just the takes that are uniquely you, like your mic drop moments. And so when you capture that, your content reflects it.
So now I'm wondering then for me, especially because I do a lot of lives and I answer a lot of things live, and that's usually when my spicy comes out. I could probably, I have 50 transcripts, and throughout those 50 transcripts, there's little in there. Do I feed them here or do I put them into ChatGPT to pull them out? Like, how would that work?
I think that, so what I would do, especially if you have more transcripts, I would start a chat with ChatGPT or Claude, give it your transcripts, and then I would come here and I would drop this prompt straight into that chat, and then it would pull your content hills from that.
Love it. Okay.
That would be the easiest way.
We are getting great feedback and comments here. People are loving it, first of all.
Thank you.
Will I be able to update the output when I grow, and how is it stored? Does it keep track of the iterations? I think we're going to cover that still, right?
Yeah.
And
We're
then
definitely going to cover that.
Someone asked, do you have an affiliate program for Brainer?
Oh, I don't, but should.
You should. I need an affiliate for this.
Awesome. I love that.
So it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
That's awesome.
Okay. So the next thing, guys, is your story bank. And this one, again, takes a little bit more time, but I'm going to show you one of my workflows in a bit. But this is where you include your client transformation stories, your personal wins, any results and metrics that you have, some testimonials, some quotes. And we'll talk about this, I think, later, Monica, but with trust building content, it's the content that can't apply to anyone else because it is uniquely yours. And that is what happens when you give AI your stories, your origin stories, your wins, your lessons. And so you do it once here. But again, when I show you guys later how you update it, as you continue to have these conversations in your AI tool, it will add to your story bank over time. And then AI will have this growing library of stories that it can pull from when it's writing posts.
Which is, I would say, like 90% of the battle of writing with AI. Like, it needs to understand your uniqueness, and it's so hard. But that's really cumbersome, to be honest with you. Like, constantly have to be thinking of more stories. It'd be so great if AI knew enough about you that it could tell stories very authentically as you, I guess.
Yes. And I'm going to show you, I think I have a workflow I think you will like. So when I show that to you, I think it will help add some color into how you can make that even easier.
All right. I would love that. Someone said, I am so excited and feel elated right now. Is there a support system if I get stuck while using it or have questions regarding how to use it for a specific purpose, which I think is that little button that you showed us. They can talk.
Yeah. So here you can email support and I will get the email directly. You can ask me questions. My long-term vision, and again, I've used this to create AI employees. And so my long-term vision is to create a community where we can use the brand brain to create AI employees that assist us in our business. Because one of the things that I am so guilty of is this shiny object syndrome. There's something new happening all the time. And then you end up having this hodgepodge of different tools and GPTs that you're using. And so Brainer really is the first part of a process of building out an actual system that helps you run your business. And so if you guys think a community would be helpful so that we can really dive deep into the ways that you can use your brand brain, I would love that feedback. And then maybe a community is something that we can do to make that process more fluid than just emails.
Yeah. And it seems like you might have an audience for that.
I love that. Okay, so there are two things. I saved the best two for last. One is the phrase bank. And this is the thing that I think is I've never really heard anyone else talking about it. And the phrase bank is important because if you think about the amount of content that AI has to write for you and it's training, it will try to figure out different ways to express what you said. And it will default to using general terms. And so I kept having this AI aftertaste until I added a phrase bank. And you can think of a phrase bank like a dictionary of approved phrases that you use. So my metaphors and my analogies that I use a lot when I'm speaking, it will give me, I'm trying to see it. This one has it. Metaphors and analogies. I have a vocabulary inventory, so my brand terms, my offer names, the descriptors that I use, how I describe my problems, action verbs and nouns that I use. So these are the little phrases, and you don't do this manually. It will go through your platform playbooks and it will pull out these phrases. Then it will create this comprehensive dictionary of how you speak. And so now instead of AI trying to guess how you would say a thing, it goes and it checks the dictionary and it pulls your language verbatim.
Oh,
That's what helps get rid of the AI aftertaste.
oh, that's genius. That is genius.
It makes I'm telling you, I did a lot of testing, thousands of
I can
hours at
see
this
that.
point. It makes the biggest difference.
This is a good question. How do you make those AI employees that you were talking about?
Okay, so let me show you the next part because that will
Okay,
lead into how I make the AI
perfect.
employees. So the next part is once you're done with your blacklist, you can connect your AI. And so we'll do Claude, for example, and it will show you you want to, actually, this is a good point because I saw this question in the chat yesterday. Someone asked in the chat, when their conversations get longer, the quality of the conversation just goes down. And that's called content rot. And it happens because every time you do a brain dump in Claude, every time it answers you, it goes back and it reads the conversation from the top. So one, you're using more tokens, so you'll hit your usage limits faster. But then two, now it is holding much more memory, and the more it has to hold, the worse it performs. And so that's why I recommend instead of doing brain dumps into individual chats, setting up a project, uploading your MD files. We do MD files and not PDFs because MD files are smaller, they take up less context, which means you get more bang for your buck. And then they're also easier to parse. I've seen people use PDF files, but ChatGPT is notoriously bad at PDF rendering, and Claude doesn't do it reliably all the time either, which is why we do the MD files, and you'll see all of the files you've done here. You can download it as one zip. And this is the part that I spent a lot of time testing, and it feels very simple, but it makes such a difference. And this is the system instruction. This is what we call context engineering. So the company that makes Claude, called Anthropic,
Mhm.
they did a study that shows when your context is not organized, LLMs have a very hard time reliably holding information, which is why you'll find yourself repeating yourself in a chat.
Hey, that was
Yeah.
we just talked about this yesterday. I was getting mad at
Mhm.
it.
Mhm. So there are a couple of things. One is context rot. So your conversation, you probably have too much content in your conversation. And then two, if you have a lot of context and you're not very specific with AI about when to use what, it will struggle. And so the way that this system message is designed, it's designed to give it instruction. So before it can create anything, it has to identify which of our brand brain principles apply, consider how I would think about this given the context it has, and deliver outputs using language and priorities. And so this is a very structured and detailed document that goes through exactly when to use it. And so we have writing mode, we have idea generation mode. And so depending on what it's doing, this is where it gets nuanced, right? Because it looks at different things depending on the task. If you don't tell it that, if you ask it to generate ideas, it'll read your entire context, burn up memory, and then you'll hit that content rot faster. And so you would just copy these system instructions. You can use them as is, or you can edit them directly here. And that'll make a difference in the way you experience using AI. And it'll also keep you from having to do these massive brain dumps when you structure it this way.
And that goes in your project instructions inside
Yes.
Claude?
Yes. So
Okay.
if you're using ChatGPT, you can do projects. If you're using Claude, you can do projects. And so I have a project specifically for my business, and that's where these system instructions live. This is specifically for writing content though. So my project for writing content has these system instructions, and that's how I use it whenever I need to write content in Claude or ChatGPT. I will tell you that I don't use the Claude or ChatGPT app as much anymore. My preference is to use it for an VS Code, which is a terminal. It looks a little intimidating, but it's not. And I'm actually going to show you this. So I'm not going to have time to go into how, guys, forgive how many tabs I have open. Okay. This isn't no judgment, no trust.
No judgment zone.
I'm always so embarrassed. My husband is like, could you close some of those? Okay, so I'm not going to have a ton of time to go into how to build AI employees today, but I will show you. I am doing a challenge in the next 2 weeks where we're going to take the brand brain and we're going to build AI employees together. So if
Oh,
that's something that you're
okay.
interested in, make sure you grab Brainer because that email goes out on Friday.
Oh, so people in the chat, do I put these instructions in every project? And would it be better to create a skill for this instead of a project?
So the project approach I like better because it keeps it's a way of organizing all of my content within ChatGPT or Claude. And because, especially if you have different brands and perhaps you're using your brand brain, this is for one brand, I'd like to keep it organized. So I have Brainer, which is the app that I'm building, but I also have the Luminaire Factor, which is my consulting business. And so I have different brand brain for each. Again, that's where I like to have projects. What you can do is some of this, Anthropic actually they just had a fireside chat a couple days ago where they were talking about moving into skills more. And so some of the things that can be skills, your platform playbooks, hands down, could be skills. Brand DNA, I don't think would need to be skill. It would function better as an MD file because it's more of a reference than actually writing. And so it depends on the context. It depends on the specific brand file, but some of these can definitely become skills. And you can
Okay.
make skills out of your brand,
Yeah.
out of your brand brain. Yeah.
And I will say that I do feel like I have overlap sometimes between projects and skills. And it's just, I have a skill for writing specifically school posts because there's certain things,
Mhm.
it's very different than Facebook. It's different than how I write emails. And so that for me, because I have two communities and two projects, that works well as a skill because I can call it into either of the projects.
Mhm. Mhm.
So sometimes I do think some of this is based on how you work with AI too.
Preference. Yeah. Your workflow. 100%.
Someone said, will there be different sets of system instructions for different aspects of business, content, writing, etc.?
So your system message has some of that already. So it has strategy mode, it has ideation mode, and it has content mode. But because I can't predict what everyone's business will be, those are the three main ones that we start with. But if you have other things that you want to use your brand brain for, you have the ability to edit it here and you can add a set of instructions for the other things you want to use it for.
Okay.
Mhm. Any other questions
I
on
think
this part?
I think we're all caught up on questions.
Okay. So this one is for you, Monica. So this is my IDE, and this is where I run. And again, you can totally do this in the Claude Desktop app. For some reason, I feel like I hit my usage limits faster when I'm in Claude Desktop versus when I'm in my terminal.
If
But
you're
this is
wait, one sec, because we're still looking at Brainer. I think you might have to
oh,
stop sharing. That's one limitation of school. They only can show one tab at a time, so you have to stop sharing.
oh,
And
okay.
yeah, because I'm like, we're definitely not
Thank
looking
you
at
for
those guys.
telling me because I was running and
We've been, what are you showing us right now?
oh, you guys didn't even get a proper chance to judge me then because you didn't see all of the tabs that
We
I
didn't see
actually
all the
do
tab.
have open.
I'm sure we are all guilty of that.
Okay. Let's see. Can you see my terminal now?
I can morning brief.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, so
So,
this is Claude code, right?
yes. So this is VS Code, but it's running Claude. It's running Claude code behind the scenes. The reason I like this, and I think like we talked about certain LLMs being better for certain things. The reason I like using an IDE is because you can pull in different LLMs in one environment versus having to switch between different apps.
Okay, what is
And
IDE
so,
for?
that's a good question.
Yeah, okay.
I'm drawing a blank, but an IDE, so essentially this is what engineers use when
Okay.
they code. They code in an IDE. So they write their code in something like VS Code.
Okay. Not Claude code.
So this is not Claude Code. It is VS Code and it's running Claude Code.
It's VS code. That's like the name of the
Code. That's the name of this tool. Yeah. And then you can connect it to different LLMs. And so I have mine running my Claude Code. I just do it from here.
Okay.
And that's, again, a matter of preference. And because I stopped using the desktop app as much, I didn't get a chance to set up my skills and stuff and test that over there, which is why I'm showing you here. But if you're using Cowork and you're using Claude Code, you can do the same thing in the desktop app. This is just a workflow preference.
Gotcha.
But one of the things that I think will be helpful, to go back to what we talked about earlier with the stories and wanting to be able to update that fluidly, I have my virtual assistant's name is J Clay. I used to love this show in the 90s, 2000s called Girlfriends. And so my AI employees are named after the cast of Girlfriends. It was either that or the cast of Friends. And we
Love
landed on Girlfriends. So every morning, J Clay does a morning brief for me. But what I like about this is that she has a real time content drop. So she'll ask me any wins, lessons, or thoughts from the last 24 hours. And so every morning, without really having to think about it, if something happened yesterday on a client call or I just have any information, I can add it here and she'll automatically add it to my story bank. And so if you have a flow that you run through in the mornings, that's very much like this is how you get your day started. This might be something you consider adding as a way of organically keeping your story bank updated. And what that means is that when you go to write content for the week, it can pull fresh stories from the stories and the lessons you shared over the past few days.
Okay. We did get a question. Can usual people without coding knowledge use VS Code? Is it pretty intuitive or is
I am not an engineer. I want to be very clear. I worked for Google, but I was on the other side. So I don't want to be engineers. I was not. And so absolutely you can use this without being an engineer. There are tons of tutorials online for how to use it, but you can definitely use it without being an engineer. And so this is the part that I wanted to show you guys. I can't go back to Brainer, but you guys remember the page where you can connect your AI. Once you download your brand brain, what you can do is you can save it as a folder on your computer. And then you can do this in Claude Cowork. You can do this with Claude Code from the desktop app. You connect it to the folder with your brand brain, right? And so Monica, when you're using Claude Cowork, do you have a folder on your desktop that you work from?
yes?
Okay. So what I would do is I would have a folder on my desktop that I work from. I would add the brand brain as a folder.
Okay.
And then when I'm working in Claude Cowork and we're doing more work, I can say, hey, make sure you update my brand brain to reflect this. And it'll know depending on the conversation, it'll know the right section of the brand brain to update.
So very similar to how you would update a skill.
Yeah.
The link that I wanted
Yeah.
to update this skill with this link so you can pull it next time. It's very similar. It's
Same
just
exact behavior. Mhm.
got
So
it.
once you build your brand brain there, you come here and it just fits into your natural workflow. Like the way you use Claude Cowork, the way you use Claude Code, the same way you would use it with your brand brain. So as you go through, you update relevant brand brain files, and then it becomes, again, this living library that grows with your business.
So the question came in. So does this mean, are we using it as a Claude skill? We're not using it as a Claude skill, but it is similar in the functionality of how you can
Mhm.
update it from a conversation.
Exactly. I'm playing around with that this week. I'm going through my working folder and really deciding what I want to use as skills and what I want to keep as MD files. And so that's one of the things that I will be deciding for me personally. You can use them again as MD files just the way they're uploaded, or you can turn a lot of these into skills. Again, that's going to be a matter of your work preference. Some of this is going to be used throughout different projects, then it makes sense to have them be skills so that you can use them regardless of the project or the folder that you're working in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think that would be the top line way. Is this something that I need to do across multiple projects and multiple folders? If so, then it needs to be a skill. If not, it can probably stay an MD file.
So that kind of goes back. Anna in the chat said, okay, so she said, to clarify, these instructions go into every project. When is too many project? LOL. So in that regard, I think what she's thinking of is the system instructions.
Okay.
you were kind of talking about it being one project for your brand, right? I think in Claude, and me included, I operate in a lot of different projects. When I was in ChatGPT, I was a project for the brand. And when I migrated to Claude, I go more because I do have to bring my brand standards over. So the way I'm seeing this, and I think what Anna's getting to here, is that some of us who work on more micro projects but need this information, that we're really going to be carrying those system prompts over to multiple projects on.
Yes. So you would be carrying it over to multiple projects. And I think that's good feedback because I still tend to work like I did in ChatGPT with one primary project. So I actually didn't think too much about that use case. But if you guys give me some time to play around with it, I will go through this and come up with some recommendations for people who have a lot of projects, how I would break it out.
Okay. I think that would be very helpful because, and it sounds like, again, workflow, someone mentioned skills again. If that works better for how your brain, this can be built into a skill.
Skills, 100%.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah, that's basically what we're seeing in the chat now. Okay. All right. Did we cover everything then that Brainer does?
We covered everything. So that is Brainer. At the end, you will have a brand frame that you can bring into your AI tool of choice and use it to give that brand infrastructure that AI will use to help you write content better, but also to create AI employees. And someone asked me really quickly, because I know I'm almost out of time, how to create AI employees. And so I have an AI employee whose name is Maya, and Maya is trained on a very specific subset of my brand brain and also my other supporting documents. And so what I will do is I run a skill content sprint, and Maya, who does all of my writing, will run through this workflow. And so she'll do my competitor research because I'm starting YouTube. She'll send me insights to Slack, gather a tutorial. So she'll run through this specific workflow. And now, because I'm on YouTube and Threads, she will reference those specific elements of my brand brain and then use that to create content. And so she is my content manager, and that's how I use her specifically. She does nothing else but content. And what I like about this is with using VS Code specifically, and I'm pretty sure, I think you can do it in the desktop app, but don't quote me because I'm not positive. But you can spin up sub agents. So if she's doing YouTube and Threads for me, she'll spin up sub agents. So one agent is working on YouTube, the other agent is working on Threads. So those are like mini agents that work under her. And that means that I can get my content for the week, the first draft done in 10 minutes or less, all based on how I write my content.
You see the head blown emoji going off?
Yes. I know. I felt the same.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. I'm super excited to get organized with this brain. You rock.
Thank you.
A really good question. Ellen said, can we start working with Brainer and stop if time runs out, then come back and finish? So is the app going to save our progress?
Absolutely. The app will definitely save your progress. So you just pick up where you left off.
Okay. I think everyone's collectively like, thank you for giving it to us because we're special. But this is definitely, and honestly, I think you're going to get some decent use cases out of everyone here.
I would love it. So if you guys love it, and I would so appreciate testimonials, feedback, bug reports, any and all feedback, I would really, really appreciate, because I want to make this better for you guys. And then you can help me decide what to build next before all of the non-beta testers come in.
Someone said, this is awesome. I've heard about building your twin, but this is far superior. Thanks so much for this. I would agree.
You're so welcome.
Yes, and create that affiliate program. Okay. Bernadette school community. Thank you so much. Love beta testing. Affiliate program sounds good. Okay, so you've got a lot of direction going here. Watch this. This is great.
Awesome.
I honestly, when I read through what we were going to be talking about today, I did not expect this. This is way more than what I thought it was going to be. This is
really,
yes, this is truly, like I said, I really don't affiliate much anymore. I would affiliate for this.
That means so much. I appreciate the feedback. You guys are going to make me cry, and I'm not going to cry on school
I'm
live,
sure you
but
so hard on this. And
I did.
And you can tell.
Thank you, guys.
You can look at all those emojis going off for you. I know
you guys.
Why don't you tell us? Because honestly, selfishly, I'm also interested in this. You said you're going to run a challenge in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
do we sign up for that? Because I kind of want to do it.
So I'm going to be running a challenge where we're going to go through and we're going to create AI employees. And so it's going to be hosted in a school community, which means that I need to catch that school training because it's time to jump on the school bandwagon. But I'm going to send out an email to everyone who has Brainer by this Friday. And so if you also leave a comment, your feedback for Brainer in the group, encourage as many people to get in as possible, you will get a free VIP upgrade, which means that we'll spend an extra day, we'll build an extra employee, and we'll have some extra time to do Q&A and feedback.
You're going to build AI employees along with us.
Absolutely. I always find it better to do it with someone than to like go through a course. It feels easier to me. So I want to do that with you guys.
Someone said, if I do not have enough written work, is there a way to read in a voice app? Oh, well, you can
Transcription?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would use OpenAI's has a transcription feature. I mean, Claude does too. So you would upload those transcriptions there, and that's how I would start.
And Elaine said, for clarification, where do we post to get the upgrade to VIP?
If you can post your feedback in is it okay if they post it in the group too? Yeah, because I know we have a few thousand people in here, and I really want to get as many people into Brainer as possible. And so if you share about it, that would be awesome. And then you get that free VIP upgrade, which is an extra day for the challenge.
And if you want to go in and make a post that people can comment on with feedback, and also let them know that you're going to be emailing about the challenge on Friday. So that will encourage them to get into Brainer sooner than later.
Okay. I will do that. I will do that. So I will make that post as soon as we get off the call. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for your feedback. You are amazing. And Monica, I would love to hear more about how you would position it, because maybe I can, explain the value a little better than I have been. So any and all feedback I appreciate.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm definitely going to jump into this. Especially with, Claude has up-leveled so much for me as it is, but I really feel like if it has these files, especially when I'm working on a co-work, it will just, I'll have to, honestly, it's just going to speed everything up. It's what it's going to, it's going to cut down on everything that I do that's still manual, I feel.
And that's the goal, because I think we're all moms. We're juggling a million things. There's work, there's dishes, there's laundry. When you sit down at your computer, you want AI to be able to run. You don't want to spend all of that time reworking what it does. And so that is my main mission, is just to make building a business easier. And the brand brain is just the first part of that. So that's what we will do. You did a fabulous job. Bernadette's going to go and post. So look for that. I will drop the link one more time in here, but it's in the school. If you go into school, into the classroom, Bernadette has her face on one of the course cards, and that's where everything will be. This is where the replay will be, and how you get access to Brainer. So I'm probably not going to be able to use it next week, but I'm going to go claim it right now so that I get your email about the challenge. Awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone.
We will be back at 2 p.m. Eastern to talk to Brenda all about school communities, monetizing school communities. It's going to be an awesome conversation, and you definitely should jump in.
Yes, I'm going to be there.
We already have a crowd of people who want to come to your school community here. So
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brenda. I super enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you at 2 p.m.